3.
What's up, Harlem?
I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Thad. And this is HNN.
Last Thursday, there was a cookies and milk event with Dr. Julie Morris.
Here's a summary of what happened.
I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I knew that this is the field I was going into. And after that sophomore year, when you question everything in college, you're like, am I even in the right realm? Then I was committed. Well, some people who get like a science degree or some kind of a degree and not education. Later, if you decide you want to be a teacher, you can get your master's degree in education. So you start with the field of study that you like, and then you maybe go back and get your education part of that. So then there's other things like electives. So in order to get into college, there's different tracks that you have to have 2 years of either a language or a vocation or something else. So that's why when you're looking at electives and you're thinking of going to college, you want to kind of look at what does the college want me to do? I think it went great. What great questions the students had. They were attentive, they had really high-level questions, and I enjoy it. I love coming and talking to the students. It helps me stay connected to the students so that I still understand what it's like to be in the school. From a student's perspective and the teacher's perspective. So it gives me insight into what kinds of questions they have, gives me an indication of what's going on in their thoughts and what their concerns are and what they think is important. And that's important whenever I'm making any decisions.
I had a really good time because I got to get a different perspective on what's going on in the district. Hearing from her point of view how things are being run is really different from what the principals experience, what teachers experience, what we experience. So getting that different perspective was really nice and helps me understand more what's going on overall with our education.
The competition cheer team is getting ready for their NIC 10 conference.
Here's Megan for more.
G-O! Let's go! Huskies! G-O! Let's go!
This year we are confident, we are ready, and we will be better than we ever have before.
Come watch the varsity cheer team on Thursday, January 21st at East High School for the NIC 10 conference.
Oh, just watching that made my back hurt.
Yeah, me too. But on a more serious note, we've all heard the recent news with ISIS.
Here's the story of it all.
Often, people seem to assume the Islamic State's motives directly correlate with other Muslim groups such as Al-Qaeda. This is a misconception. Al-Qaeda acts as an underground political movement, one which focuses on its international goals. Although ISIS deals with concerns around the world, the main theme of their movement is the coming of the apocalypse. The Islamic State believes that the fate of the world has already been penciled in by God. This belief is a defining feature that separates ISIS from other groups. The Islamic State follows the Quran in an intensely literal way. It is their obligation to revert back to medieval practices, which include enslavement, amputation, lashing, and stoning in order to right wrongs and carry out the proper way of life. Negotiation and accommodation are strictly not an option due to their belief that such actions are not in accordance to their religion. ISIS is, however, obligated to terrorize enemies and advocate violence. Eventually, through these practices, they believe that they will come to bring a fresh Islamic conquest. A conquest, however, that will soon be followed by the end of all days and a final meeting between ISIS and the Antichrist. In the midst of disorder, ISIS entered into the situation in order to build an Islamic caliphate. Chaos ensued as ISIS became one of the most powerful extremist groups carrying out unthinkable war crimes against civilians. With violence at every turn, the Syrian civilians were stuck in the midst of a war between ISIS, rebel groups, and the regime. 4 million civilians fled Syria, and many took refuge in camps in neighboring countries. Many of these refugee camps were unequipped for the overwhelming amounts of civilians, and a majority were left to fend off hunger, the cold, and infection. Many refugees decided that they wanted to seek asylum in Europe. Europe, however, was not prepared for the influx of Syrian civilians. Some countries decided they would admit no Syrian refugees to cross their borders. In 2014, the UK initiated a program called Mare Nostrum in order to search for and rescue refugees from drowning at sea. It was thought that a high amount of deaths at sea would mean a lower amount of civilians seeking asylum in Europe. This program changed the outlook on the crisis when a photo of a dead toddler with his face in the sand began to spread across the world. Much of the Western world began to take more action, but it was still not enough. Now, Germany has agreed to take in 800,000 refugees. Jordan, a neighboring country of Syria, has agreed to take in 600,000. The United States, with the highest GDP based on current prices in the world, has only agreed to admit 10,000 Syrian refugees.
And now it's time to find out who won Pick of the Week.
And that's the show, Harlem. Be sure to like our Facebook page.
And follow us on Twitter at HNN1516.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Harlem News Network.
Have a great day, Harlem.
Cranky, it's a spider. I think I might poke it. It's a little frightened fella. Usually people freak out and want to hit it with the shoe, but you can't because it's a part of nature. I'ma poke it again. As you can see, this spider's trying to find a